Hello there, my name is Nimanya Ruthy Faith and I'm in Form 3. I study from Immaculate Heart Girls School, and today I would like to welcome you to the first and ever edition of this show, which is known as the Deep Talk. This show has been put in place so that we can bring to table different things that are affecting our country, talk about them and find a way forward. So for today, we have the topic of corruption on table. This topic has been pending in our country for a very long time. And looking at the status quo of Uganda and Africa, even the whole world, we see that climate change is also another issue. But before I go any further, I would like to bring to you the vibrant youth I have in the house. And because without the youth involvement in such areas, we do not see a tomorrow. A good evening to you, sir.
Thank you so much. I would like to say hello to my fellow young people who are watching us this evening, and I would like to say thank you so much for being a part of this very deep talk show. My name is Oyesije Clinton Liberty, and I'm a climate change activist, and I also have passion for youth development in Africa.
Thank you very much. So concerning corruption in Uganda, what do you take it as?
First of all, we need to understand what corruption is. We are not talking about corruption that is outside any other thing but climate change for this instance. So corruption, when it comes to climate change, I would say those are unethical behaviors. Those are illegal activities that undermine the efforts of addressing climate change impacts. We have so many people, we have so many climate change activists, we have so many climate change justice people who are actually looking at what can be done to address climate change impacts in Africa. So if you come and you are corrupt in those very activities that address climate change, then you're undermining the efforts that other people are doing towards addressing climate change impacts. So to me, corruption in climate change comes as a context of undermining the efforts of addressing climate change in not only Africa, but also at a global level. So to me, and the people that do this corruption, they could be climate change activists as well. They could be government officials. It could be institutions that are also doing this. So to me, I think the call for corruption is not only a global topic, but it's also affecting climate change in so many ways. And I think we shall talk about other areas that affect climate change.
Okay, thank you very much. And so far, concerning this issue of climate finance, we have seen that there is several funding that is going towards this sector. We have seen funding that is public, we have seen national, transnational, we have seen grants and loans from financial institutions. There has been mobilization of taxes through carbon tax and trade. Even initially, so far, there has been funding of 2 billion towards climate change, not forgetting the 133 billion that is always on the climate change concerning the national budget. So since all this funding is going on, where do you see that corruption coming? Because most times it's known that corruption comes in where there is less funding, but we are seeing that funding is available. Where then do you think the corruption comes in?
The corruption comes in a very simple way. The corruption comes in when there is misuse of these funds. When these funds have been allocated to do a certain project that addresses climate change, but now these funds are now being misused or misallocated. So corruption occurs when funds are allocated for climate change related activities or projects, but now they are being embezzled. That is now where the corruption comes in. And this affects, as I said earlier, this affects the efforts being put in to address climate change impacts. So you get to realize that if someone gives you money, for example, when I was in Dubai attending the climate change conference, the World Bank was given money for least development countries. And I must say Uganda is part of the least development countries. They were given money for least development countries. So in a situation where the World Bank does not avail this money for least development countries to use them for projects like adaptation, for projects like mitigation measures, then To me, I would describe that as misuse of funds, or what we are calling today as corruption.
So what you're trying to tell us is that we have failed to see the funds used properly, and this is where the corruption comes in climate change.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now since we are looking for a way forward, of course we would not want to see corruption in climate change and leave it at that. We need to know what should be done to bring forth a betterment of our nation. What do you suggest as a framework that can be done to bring forth the bringing down of corruption concerning climate change in Uganda?
Thank you so much. I think what should be done is very clear. One, we would look at transparency. When I say transparency, I mean that people should tell us how they are using. If it's an organization, let it tell us how they are using the funds that they have gotten from any donor or anyone towards climate change projects. So transparency is telling people what you're doing. Yeah. So to me, I think one of the ways we can avoid corruption is by being transparent in what we are doing. Two, accountability. Can we have institutions, can we have the government talk to us about how they have spent the money that has been given to them to address climate change impacts? To me, accountability is very key when it comes to addressing corruption.
Thank you very much. So now we are stating that we need political openness concerning this. Thank you very much. So now it is also known most times that it is because of poor allocation of these funds. Which areas do you think, concerning this mitigation, where do you think the funds should be allocated to? Because we have seen planting of trees, we have seen several things. Not forgetting that what is affecting the country's economy right now by climate change is that when we see climate change in the aspect of landslides and flooding, it is bringing forth destruction of our infrastructure, and that is not doing our country good, right?
Yeah.
So what do you see, or where do you suggest that these funds should be allocated to, and where should they be put more?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think what you're calling the destruction of all these things is what we call, in climate change, we have a term for it. It's called loss and damage. And I think, to me, these funds should be directed or aligned to loss and damage.
Wow, thank you very much for sharing your idea to us.
Yes.
We hope to meet another time.
Please.
So that is it for today. I hope enough has been shared. Let us try our level best as Ugandans to fight corruption in our country. Thank you very much. Until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.